Ohio State rolls against Illinois on the road. Let's talk about if anybody is going to be able to do anything with Ohio State, particularly its defense. And, well, Luke Altmaier did what I thought he would do. What's up, kinfolk? It's RJ Young. I am not on a step mill. If this is your first time watching Adapt and Respond, thank you for joining us here. We talk college football year round. If you're into that, go ahead and hit that subscribe button, like this video, and answer the question in the comments below. Were you impressed by Ohio State's 34-16 win against the Fighting Illini on the road, or do you still just not think they're that good? And the reason I want to get that in there to start is I was asked about this, right? I had the homie, you know what? Maybe you'll just hear it. Or it won't play. It won't play. Point what I was making is I'm talking about Ohio State and Illinois, and I'm making the point that Illinois ain't been no good against top 10 opponents. And Luke Altmaier, more importantly, has not been any good against top 10 opponents. And I'm looking at it this way. If you are going to tell me that Illinois is good enough to beat Ohio State, I'm going to tell you that Luke Altmaier has to play the best game of his entire life against a top 10 opponent. And he's just not going to be that good when you got a number of 9 or fewer next to your name. He came into this one having completed 73.6% of his passes for an average of 262 yards, right? And his INT to TD to INT ratio was perfect. It's 15-0. But I wrote about this earlier this week, and I said, look, against top 10 opponents, not been that good. 16-25 for 185 with a TD against number 9 Penn State. 17-35 for 161 with 2 INTs against what was number 1 Oregon. And this year, they got railroaded by Indiana in that game. He was 14 of 22 for 146 with a TD. But again, top 25 opponents just not been that good. Hadn't even thrown for 200 yards against a top 25 opponent since they started, playing with him at quarterback last year. And in this game, he wasn't much better. Matter of fact, just 89 yards in the first half, and he ends the game 30 of 44 for 248. So congratulations, he threw for more than 200 yards against Ohio State in a game where he also threw his first interception of the season. And Ohio State had 3 takeaways in this game. They scored off their takeaways. In the first half, they had 14 points off of turnovers. And it goes according to plan for them. Julian Sand didn't need to be outstanding. He was 19 of 27 for 166 with a TD, which, is really going to hurt his TD to incompletion ratio. I think it's now like 13 to 27 or something like that. It's ridiculous. He's been really efficient with the football and really great with it. Run game could have left some things to be desired, just 2.9 yards per rush on the ground. Leading rushers, Bo Jackson with just 47 yards on 10 carries. C.J. Donaldson had 44 yards on 13. Jeremiah Smith, it wasn't the TD that he caught. It wasn't the 5 catches, 42 yards. It was him getting up lame after landing on his neck that had everybody really upset about how he was feeling. Lower back looked like it might have hurt. He came back in the game. He finished the game. He was on the bike a little bit more rather than sitting on the sideline. Carnell Tate's still that dude. 44 catches, 41 yards. Max Clare got into the game for 38. And I think there's at least one play in the first half where I'm like saying you had Clare right there on the seam route. You missed it. It's all right. It's cool. It didn't really matter that much because the Ohio State defense is amazing. 4 of 14 they hold Illinois to on third down. Illinois also gets to be the first team to score a TD and a red zone TD against the Buckeyes this season. And that's halfway through the entire friggin' regular season that Ohio State's defense had gone. And Ryan Day had said they've been unbelievable with their backs against the wall. And it was kind of like some voodoo and some juju that was working for them when you get inside the 5-yard line, so much so that if you're an Illinois fan, you got to be going, what else do we have to do here? What I think is more impressive about the defensive performance for Ohio State is that they only needed 272 total yards from the offense to win. They gave up 295 yards, right? They gave up 248 through the air, 47 on the ground, but they also forced 3 turnovers and they sacked Altmaier 4 times. And you've heard Joel wax poetic about Arvelle Reese and being perhaps the most athletic player in that front 7 that Ohio State has. I mean, Caleb Downs is the most athletic player they have on that defense. And I would love to see who would win a decathlon between Caleb Downs and Jeremiah Smith, but we don't really need to do all that. I think when I look at Arvelle Reese, I see Barian Browning. Like, y'all remember Baron Browning, freak athlete at linebacker. And that seems to be the kind of guy that Laurinaitis and them just keep bringing in. Sonny Styles, a guy that was safety, but then got so big that they moved him down to inside. He wearing an O-block, right? So you got those two dudes in the middle, which are two of the three most athletic guys in your entire defense. Davison Igbinosun can't keep his hands to himself. He is still picking up stupid penalties, but he's still their best corner. Devin Sanchez is going to have an opportunity to come on here. Jermaine Matthews looked really good. I really like Jermaine Matthews. I would like to see more Jermaine Matthews out there. And Jalen McClain is not getting a lot of run because he's playing the same safety tandem as Caleb Downs, but you get it. Kenyatta Jackson was also just a monster today. The more you look at this Buckeye team, the more the question doesn't become how good are they? It becomes, can they keep doing this? Because you look at the schedule and you want to ask yourself, what's the trap game? What is it that Ohio State should really worry about the rest of the way? And when you look and you see Wisconsin and you see Penn State, who has since not just lost to Oregon, but to UCLA, at Purdue, UCLA, who apparently has turned into a monster the last 2 weeks, but okay, Rutgers, and then Michigan. I really think it's a Michigan conversation that we're having here, because if your name has not been Oregon or Michigan, you haven't been able to beat Ohio State when they go on the road to you. You're also talking about a team that has won like 19 of its last 21 games, just period, no matter where they've been playing. The last team to beat them is the Michigan Wolverines, and they played their way through the entire college football playoff bracket last year to win the national championship. They unseated the number one team in the country, which is no longer the number one team in the country, but that's also because Ohio State beat them and became the number one team in the country. Everybody else has been kind of topsy-turvy, save Oregon. Oregon has an opportunity to cement themselves as the number two team, not just in the Big Ten, but in the entire country with a win against Indiana. The same thing could be true about Indiana moving up, who I also thought was going to be really good. I started them at thinking number 11 in my preseason rankings. I started Oregon at number 2. They've stayed at number 2. Catch up. But that's the point. And I was telling a homie about this because he had asked, but it's just been different for them. And maybe Julian Sand isn't your Heisman representative for this Buckeye team, but that's kind of like D.D. Brooks and Baker Mayfield in 2016. It's probably going to be some version of Julian and Jeremiah Smith, as long as nobody gets hurt. Carnell Tate's also got something to do with that. That offensive line has also been really good. And the rush game could still bring something home. But the thing that I think is funny is they got a trophy for this rivalry, because they got a trophy for every friggin' game in the Big Ten, the Illy Buck trophy. And the Illy Buck is a carved turtle. It's been around since 1925. It also hasn't left Columbus very often, right? Last time it left Columbus 2007 when Juice Williams and them unseated number one Ohio State in rowdy 2007 that we had that really made things difficult for everybody. But it's been tough for Illinois or anybody else to beat Ohio State. The question for Illinois now is, can you get a 10-2 season and get you into the playoff? Not if you can't beat no top 10 ranked opponents. That's just it. Like, we don't really care that you beat SC. We wanted you to not lose by 53 to Indiana. That's going to live on for a long time, especially knowing what Iowa just did, nearly beat them, and how badly Oregon wins or doesn't win. You really need Indiana to beat Oregon if you're Illinois, and you need Ohio State to run the table. Outside of that, I just don't see it. I don't see it. But if you're a Buckeye fan, you're no longer averaging 5 points per game. You're giving up a little bit more than that, as you gave up 16. And maybe that's the thing that you're saying if you're Illinois. We scored 16 when nobody else can score more than 5. It's a good point. Till they scored 10, nobody scored more than 9. But if that's where you're going to put the goalpost for this defense, back-to-back national championships seems like it's in the works for them to be the first college football playoff since Georgia 21-22, and the first Big Ten team since before we had World War II. Minnesota, 1940, 1941. Sorry about that delay. I thought they would play.